All right, we're in chapter 8. We're at the end of the chapter looking at installing graphics cards and then our video card project. So we're going to jump into the installing graphics card section, finish that today, and then go into and start the video card project while we're at it. First thing we're going to do is watch a video from Linus Tech Tips.
Welcome to another episode of How To here on Linus Tech Tips. Today we're going to be doing our first How To Basics video, where we show you how to install a graphics card into your computer. A lot of newer system builders and computer novices can get a little bit nervous when installing a GPU, since it can be one of the more expensive parts of your PC. But don't worry, the process is actually quite straightforward as long as you keep a few points in mind. The GTX 980 Ti VR Edition from EVGA provides an industry-leading graphics experience, as well as a 5¼ bay with easy access inputs for your VR device. Learn more at the link in the video description. Before you do anything, it is vital to make sure that your parts are compatible in terms of both size and power. Make sure that your case is large enough to accommodate your graphics card, particularly if you're going with a higher end model, and that you have a power supply that has both the right connections and can put out enough watts. Virtually all graphics cards these days use a 6-pin or 6+2-pin PCI Express power connector, which looks like this. Some cards might only have one connector, while others will have two or even more. So verify that your PSU has the right cables before you pull the trigger. As far as wattage goes, most 500 to 600 watt power supplies from reputable companies can handle one graphics card with no issues. But if you'll be running more graphics cards, like 2 or 3, you might need to look into something more. Check out reviews to see how much your card actually needs. Sometimes power requirements on spec sheets are vastly overestimated. So don't be too disheartened if you only have something like a 450 watt power supply, as it may end up working just fine as long as it's a good one. There's a great thread on the Linus Tech Tips forum that covers which makes and models are considered good. You can check that out in the link in the description down below. So let's get right to it, and remember to be careful when handling computer components. Either use an anti-static wristband or the easier method of just touching a metal part of your case from time to time, especially after moving your feet, to avoid damaging stuff with static electricity. First, decide where on your motherboard your card is going to go. Modern graphics cards can go on a PCI Express X16 slot, which are the longest ones on your motherboard in the expansion slot area. Generally, it's a good idea to install the card in the topmost slot, that is closest to the CPU, to ensure you're running it at full speed. But check your motherboard manual to confirm. It's best to use whatever slot your manual shows as being 16X, but using an 8X slot will work fine as well. You may not be able to avoid this if you're using multiple cards like SLI or Crossfire, and that's okay. Most cases will have bracket covers for unused expansion slots. Unscrew and remove the covers that correspond with where your card needs to go, and then line up the bottom of the card with the slot. I recommend holding it by the cooler and avoiding touching the sensitive contacts on the bottom or the traces on the back. The slot is keyed, so it's impossible to insert the card backwards, so don't worry about that. Push down with a firm but steady pressure on each end of the card until you hear an audible click. Also notice that once the card is in, the retention clip at the end of the slot will help hold it in place. Some motherboards have clips that you have to squeeze or push sideways on to release the card. With others, you can just push the clip down. Be sure to release the clip if you ever need to remove the card, otherwise you could really damage both the card and the board if you try to rip it out. Once you've got your card in the slot, screw it into the case, being sure to lift the card a bit as you screw it in so it won't droop later on. Then find the PCI Express cables attached to your power supply and plug them into the card. Usually the connectors will be around the card's right-hand corner and are keyed to keep you from installing them upside down. Route your cable up to the card, preferably using the cable management holes of your case that is hopefully there, and just push the cable in until it clips into place. So that's it for the hardware install. Now it's time to install drivers. Even if you were not using a standalone graphics card before, I strongly recommend using the free display driver uninstaller, also known as DDU, a favorite program of ours here at the office, to completely remove any remnants of old drivers from your system first, as they can cause issues later if not properly removed. Just run the program, which will automatically boot into safe mode. Select whether you want to remove NVIDIA, AMD or Intel drivers and reboot. This is a good idea even if you just built a new system, as Windows will often install display drivers that are out of date. Once you get back into Windows, head to either NVIDIA or AMD's website, entering your GPU model and operating system, and snag the latest drivers. Don't bother using either the driver disk that came with your card or any drivers from Windows Update, as these tend to be out of date by the time you actually install your card. Run the installation program and select Custom Installation to tell the system whether you want drivers only or if you want any additional software from NVIDIA or AMD. Wait for it to finish and you're all done. Open up your games, crank up the settings, and do your thing. Thanks for watching, guys. If this video sucked, you know what to do. But if it was awesome, get subscribed, hit the like button, or even...
Okay, I'm in the section Chapter 8 book. That was the video we just watched in the Chapter 8 book. The other information that's in this, Chapter 8, Section 7 of the book is this video that we just watched. And there's a really quick step-by-step guide on how to install a video card. It's very simple, okay? If you've only ever used the integrated card, you can just jump ahead. If you've got a card already in there, if you're using an NVIDIA and you're putting in an AMD or vice versa, then you should really go into the add and remove programs. And if you copy and paste that and put that down here in the search bar, it's just going to come up to add and remove programs. If you go in there, and what I would highly recommend you doing before you install it is go and find, for instance, I've got an NVIDIA card. So I could just type NVIDIA in the search engine, except for it's NVIDIA, and there we go. And I can see the NVIDIA programs on there. I would want to uninstall the NVIDIA graphics driver by going over here and clicking uninstall before I go and install the new video card. So I would go and do that. Then I'd shut down my PC, unplug my PC, install my new card, turn it on, download the drivers, and install it just like you did on the video. I want to point out one more thing before we move on. There are times when old graphic drivers can really pose a problem with new and different video cards, particularly when you go AMD to NVIDIA, NVIDIA to AMD. That can really sometimes cause a problem. And that is what the next section is on this book. And I want you to take a quick look at it, but because it's a little bit different. Basically, it uses a program called the Display Driver Uninstaller, or DDU, to uninstall the software first and make sure it's completely cleaned out. Now, this is something you only have to do if you had issues. If you couldn't uninstall it, it failed on the uninstall, the graphics drivers still aren't working, then you want to use that. And then basically the steps that we just went through are still on here. And I have a video down here, which we are not going to watch right now, but you can if you ever come up to and have problems with uninstalling and installing a new graphics driver. Again, if this is your first graphics card, our first integrated one you're putting in your PC, you don't have to worry about any of that. But if you're going from a gaming card to a better gaming card, and particularly if you're switching manufacturers, you probably should take a look at this video and follow the directions. The first step right here on step 1 on removing the old graphics drivers, and then the rest of it is exactly what he just went through on that 5-minute video. Okay, that's it for installing a graphics card. Let's move on to the project and talk about the project that we're going to be doing in this class. So, I see if I can move back. No, I'm just going to keep going back there, so I'll just go back here. So if I go down here, and after that, I've already given everybody credit for 8.75, which was our breakdown and rebuild. Everybody got full credit for that. You're going to see the video card project here and choosing the video card. You're going to have the option of choosing your manufacturer and the amount of money that you have. And it's first come, first serve. So you're going to choose the amount of money you have and the video card manufacturer. Obviously, not everybody can choose all of them, but there's a wide enough range of choices that you will be able to go through and do that. Once you've done that, that's the amount of money you have, and your gamer motherboard is the one you're using for this project, because we're assuming that no matter what we go to do, no matter what we go to upgrade, it's going to be to upgrade our gaming system. So that's the amount of money you have. You're trying to find the best video card you can buy, realizing that people got 250 are at the bottom of that list. The best one you can buy made by that manufacturer. So let's take a look at the project itself real quick. And by the way, I'm going to upload the new rubric because the rubric is old. So you're going to give us, you're from a distributor, you're going to be selling us AMD or NVIDIA video cards. You're going to give us a little bit of background on the company, just like normal. You're going to give us a little background on the motherboard. We really only need to know the basics of your motherboard, specifically what the expansion cards are on the video card that you're going to sell us, so we know that it will go into the computer that you got. Then you're going to tell us about the video card itself. And the last thing down on here, and I want you to use AI to do this, use AI to find a list of the newest games that you can that will work with that GPU, so, and that's going to be part of your presentation. So you're not going to be able to go and search all these, but AI certainly can do that for you. And just to give you an example, if you go into ChatGPT, I said, please find me a list of video games that the GeForce 980 will meet the recommended requirements for. Please list the games by release date with the newest ones on the top of the list. So there's no way you could go out and find all the ones that the GTX 980 would meet. However, AI has the ability to go and find that for you. Now, you need to use ChatGPT if you want to get the best one. So here's the list, and it's saying the newest one that came out is going to be from 2018. The 980, I intentionally picked an old graphics card to do that with. So there's a list of video games that work with this specific one, and look how great it is. It even told us the ones that fall below it that it meets the minimum specs for. That's exactly what I want. You don't have to put all these, but I need a list of what games will work with your video card. It's a pretty easy one-day project. I'm going to give you all of the next class and what remains of this class to work on this project, and then you'll present them the class after that.
Hey, I want to say one more thing about the video card project. Now, everything's defined in the project itself, but the big thing is to refer to the rubric, and I added that in bold here, refer to the rubric. Below here is the rubric, and I'm going to take one quick little gander at the rubric. As per normal, you're going to do an introduction slide. You're going to talk about the specifications of the motherboard, and we're all using the gamer motherboard for this. So this will be your gamer motherboard. You're going to need to make sure you remind us of your make and model, the number of expansion slots and types that you have available on your motherboard. Obviously, because we're going to be putting the video card in it, we need to make sure it fits. You're going to talk about your target audience, basically mentioning that this is for a gamer, and you're going to need to say what kind of gamer. Is this a low-level gamer, mid-level gamer, or high-level gamer? Obviously, if you only have $250, you're talking low-level gamer. If you've got $1,200, you should be talking high-level gamer. And then talk about the integrated components on your motherboard. These are just 2 slides from your motherboard presentation at most. Does it already have integrated video, audio, that kind of stuff? So those things need to be on your motherboard. And then you've got 2 company backgrounds on this one. The GPU company, NVIDIA or AMD, and then the card company. Is it ASUS? Is it Gigabyte? You need to give us a little background on both of those today. So you're going to do 2 backgrounds. And then you're going to give us the information about the card itself. And here's a list of the specifications that we're going to be looking for on the card. And then that GPU games list. This is the list of games that you're telling us this video card meets the recommended specifications for. And again, this is a definite AI thing. You're going to have to use AI to find this list. Make sure you explain any specifications that you go over while you're doing your presentation. Put those definitions on your PowerPoint if you don't think you can remember them. Obviously, costs with the working link. And then the presentation section, it shouldn't say PowerPoint anymore. As far as transitions, text elements, did you do an MLA specifications? And then do you have writing mechanics errors? Don't forget to look at the rubric when you're building your presentation. And that's it.